Hey dudes, welcome to Ask Tommy number 4. First question. I love your podcast episodes with Amanda Garcia White. You both have amazing chemistry, like two like minded, quirky friends. Any chance of having her back on soon? It's been quite a while, yes. It's been quite a while. Since the pandemic around summer of 2020, that was the last time that we did a podcast. Yes, I am trying to get her back on at some point this year because I'll tell you, after we did that last one in summer of 2020, her life took an unexpected turn and she left social media for a while. And only in the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, she's been back. And I am privy to what's going on. We've talked privately about it. And all I could say is, wow. So until she comes back on, I'm not going to divulge what she's been up to. That information is strictly her own. But she's definitely on the list for 2024. I love Amanda and I love talking with her. I feel like we didn't spend much time together in the Bay Area because I met her so late before, I left the Bay Area and everything. But, ever since Kristen Frisk passed a month ago, I've been thinking I got to reach out to people I haven't had on since before the pandemic or during because life is too fucking short. You never know what's going to happen. It's just as I said not too long ago, I went back and listened to that last podcast I did with Kristen, and I came to the conclusion, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I mean, yeah, it's dirty, like all our podcasts were dirty, but it's quintessentially me and Kristen, having the conversations we loved having, privately and publicly. So it wasn't a bad interview as I thought it was, right? But I've got to do, more podcasts with people I haven't talked to in a very long time because you never know when the Grim Reaper starts a calling. Over the years, have you faced a lot of hurtful, jealous, or backlash bullshit from other podcasters? Oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude. There's several podcasters I had on in the early years that I regret having on. Donna Sweet Purple June, Cat Lively, and a couple other people come to mind. There's these couple podcasters I have never had on, and I never will have on because there's a one-side vendetta with them. The two guys on $2 late fee, Zach Schaefer and Dustin, whatever his fucking last name is. I've always been cordial with those guys, and for whatever reason, they got a fucking beef with me. They told Erin Gilmer not to do my podcast recently, and that's fucking fine. She's no saint either, as it turns out. But come on now, we're all fucking middle-aged. We in high school. Build a community with all podcasters, even if you disagree with them. Don't turn tribal. It really drives me crazy. It's a waste of time to argue and fight with people who are in the same field with you, It's just like, it's why, why are people othering other podcasters? It's like, got any stories about conducting an interview you went into with very low expectations but came out surprised of how well it turned out? That question is a tall order considering how many interviews I've done, but let me choose one. Yes, here's one. Pamela Des Barres. She's done millions of interviews and has talked about the 60s and sleeping with rock stars ad nauseum. When we did our interview, I had no idea how sweet and open she was going to be with me, and I couldn't believe how sweet she was with me and how infectious her energy was. She didn't know me from a hole in the wall, and yet she was feeding off my energy. We got to nerd out on music a little bit and talk about, lots of awesome stuff. And I've heard her say in interviews, she hasn't met too many millennials that she likes because a lot of them don't know the music that she grew up on and that she lived through in the 60s and 70s. But because I do, I guess that's why she liked me, during that interview, and we had a blast like we did. So she was a total surprise, just a total surprise. You said in your early podcast episodes you wanted to act in movies. Do you still have the drive to? No, quite honestly, not really. I've learned so much about how the business works, and so I don't want to pursue it. However, I would do small parts in movies if I was offered, non speaking lines, or, I would give myself an alias, maybe a porn name like Jacob South or Tommy Two Fingers. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go that far. Great example of that, though, of having small parts in movies if I was offered. When I interviewed Dick Dizell, who played Count Gore Duvall, he told me, and I'm paraphrasing this, Don Dohler asked him if he would promote his film by showing it on his horror show. And Dick said, "Sure, but I have to have a role in your next film." And Dohler said, "Okay." If I was put in a situation like that, I would definitely consider doing movies. I would do that, times a million. But I haven't been in any situation like that where I'm in a position to owe one of my guests favors, and I'm hoping someday I will get a guest who says to me, "You have done so much for me. Is there anything I could do?" And I'll say, "Yeah, put me in your movie." Or better yet, I would love to host a panel at a convention that you're at, something along those lines. So fingers and toes crossed on that. Why hasn't Leanne Kreischer come back on since 2020? You two have two fascinating, multi-layered conversations. I agree, and the reason why is because she's managing Bert's career full time now. Not to mention, Wife of the Party has blown up. We've been trying to do a fourth since I think sometime in 2021, but she's just so damn busy now. That's why it hasn't happened yet. But I hope to make it happen this year at least. But again, she is super busy, and her podcast has just blown up so much. She's got advertisers now, and she's getting a little bit higher profile guests, right? And I have no envy of that. I am so damn proud of her, and I support her unconditionally. And I thank her for the 3 interviews we did do because they were fantastic. I just hope we get a fourth, just so I can tell her personally, verbally on this podcast, that I am so proud of her. When you do episodes for International Masturbation Month, do you enjoy interviewing porn stars as much as you do for sex educators? To be honest, I prefer sex educators over porn stars because porn stars are going to answer questions the way that they want to. Sex educators are going to answer questions seriously, but are going to have fun with me. And as much as I overshare, they will overshare a little bit. Porn stars will overshare a lot, but there's also going to be some defensiveness there as well. And so it's kind of a slippery slope with porn stars. So I prefer sex educators more. Those ones are usually more fun. What's your main objective when you do an interview with anybody? Bottom line, I just want them all to like me. I've spent most of my life, and in some cases a very short window of my life, nerding out on their work. I just want them to like me, that's all. It's very tricky. It's very selfish, yes, but my intentions are good. These last 7 years have been incredible. Did I think this would happen? No, but yet I'm glad it did. Do you tell dirty jokes in real life? Only with loved ones and dear friends. So yes, of course. Dirty jokes are a huge part of my life. The older I get, the less I swear, though. I will be honest with that. At this point, I only swear when I'm angry or frustrated, or if I'm trying to make a point while interviewing someone who curses like a sailor. I've learned to know my audience, and choose the swearing at the right moments, because you got to do that after a while. What horror movie do you think is far superior than its original? I guess he's referring to sequels. Well, Dawn of the Dead 1978 is as good as Night of the Living Dead is. Dawn of the Dead is far superior. I mean, come on. I've had like 15, 16 guests from that movie. 15 or 16 guests can't be wrong. Dawn of the Dead is a way superior movie than Night of the Living Dead, as great as that movie is, and Day of the Dead After Dawn as well. Have you ever had a returning guest not remember you from the first one? Oh yeah, lots of them. Most recent was Pepe Serna. Last week I had him on, and I really thought he would remember me. I mean, sure, he's almost 80, but I think we bonded really well in that first episode, before the leak in his kitchen happened. But frankly, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. I usually I usually reciprocate, when sometimes when a like-minded person has a sense of humor, and the second time around they don't remember the little in joke from the first one. Not that they would anyway, but I'm a little disappointed by that. But overall, it doesn't really bother me if they don't remember me, unless it was really emotional for me, because I'll always remember that first one that we did, you know. I mean, then again, I talk to so many different people. I do so many different interviews and keep track of who's who. Sometimes that can be difficult. Do you wiggle your toes during an interview? Of course, that's a given. I'm always barefoot the entire time. I mean, because I don't have a day job, I'm always in pajamas, and I got my toes wiggling the entire time and just having a ball. I'm either at my desk or on my bed conducting an interview, and it can be a lot of fun. I have to say, though, always be barefoot, when you do a podcast, because then you've got plenty of room for your toes to wiggle. And when you do wiggle your toes, wiggle them side to side, back and forth, and think to yourself, this is the life. I'm interviewing one of my idols, and I'm wiggling my toes. How does it feel to have over 2,000 interviews on your podcast? It's fucking surreal. That's all I can say. You know, Given the shit that happened in my life during the 10 years leading up to my podcast, I wish I could go back and fix it. I wish I could fix a lot of things in my past, but sadly, you can't do that. And yet, for some twist of fate, it has led me to this. Now, I wish I could go back to 2009. That's the year my backward ass fuckness really, really happened. It was at its peak. So many things happened in 2009. I left comedy to continue bouncing. I fucking got my mouth in trouble a lot that year. I got my dick in trouble a lot that year. I hurt a lot of people's feelings. And, once I lost my job at the swinging door, that was karma coming back to me. And I didn't even realize it at the time because I was young and fucking just full of ego and pride. But that was God's way in hindsight of telling me that was karma, and I needed to figure out what I was going to do next. And it took me a long time because then the alcohol came in and lots of stupid shit started happening. It was crazy, really, really crazy. And all I can say is thank you, God, for helping me learn my lesson. And all I have now is wisdom to talk about it because I had a lot of fun before the sadness started, but then when the sadness came, it came. And it was a long time before I ever, got back from it. But once again, and I know it's a cliche, I'm blessed. Do you ever sleep? Yes, not well, but I do sleep. Well, that's it. Later, dudes.